I'm just going to start the video off like this. If an ally gets netted, what you do is you immediately sprint after them and untie them. You do not fight the trapper. You do not continue fighting the horde. You don't continue doing anything. If you disagree with this, you are just wrong. You are a low-level player. Please stay out of my games. No, there's literally no context where you do anything else other than maybe fire. But even then, if there's a bomb underneath or a flamer starting to spool up, it is so fast to get someone out of the net. As long as if there is a trapper and you know you're safe from it, but you're not sure about your teammates, just keep an eye on them. And because you know there's a trapper, the moment you see a red triangle appear, you just sprint to them and get them out. It takes quite literally 0.3 seconds to unnet someone. It takes longer for a flamer to start shooting and their flames to appear on the ground than it does to unnet someone. I really can't stress this enough. Do not kill the trapper. Do not continue fighting things. If you have to get someone through a horde that's been netted, just use your push attack, push your way through and unnet them. Because if you don't, they're guaranteed to die literally every single time. Okay, now we can actually talk about the trapper themselves. I really just had to get that out of my system because I'm so sick of bad players in Maelstrom who just don't do that. Anyway, so first and foremost, let's get another thing out of the way. It's not a bug, it's genuinely a feature. You have always been able to attack through walls and always get attacked through walls. This has been true literally since Vermintide 1. So if there's something like a loose wall... So there's two kinds of walls, solid walls and loose walls. This is a solid wall. It breaks line of sight. It's thick enough that you can't really do attack shenanigans through it. And then there's loose walls, like those kind of grates, like those up there. Yeah, trappers will shoot you through that. It doesn't break line of sight. They are suggested in the code to try and not do that. They want to run around that stuff. But sometimes if they feel like they cannot move to the player, they'll just shoot you through it. They're not supposed to, but like this, they will absolutely shoot you and pull you into this because there's nothing stopping it, even though it involves the net going straight through the wall. That is an intentional piece of game design. Like it or not, that's just how the game is made. Okay, now, trappers are not dangerous at all until they become the most bullshit thing in the game. Also, from here, 10 meters, this is where they start to try and spool you. See? If we spawn them further than 10 meters, they run into the exact 10 meter radius to where they start. So anywhere from 1 to 10 meters, trappers will try to attack you. You can use this to your advantage by always making sure that you are 10 meters away from a trapper. If you are aware that there is a trapper on the field because the spawn sound actually played for you, that's very impressive. Thank you, Fat Shark. That's another thing I want to talk about. Trappers... But I'll talk about that in a second. If you are aware that a trapper has spawned, either you heard the spawn noise or running or something, just make sure you are nowhere near it. You're always 10 meters away. Another thing, make sure that if you're in melee fighting something, that you get out of melee. Straight up. Treat that shit like your tabletop Tau. Do not go into melee with them. Because, or not the trapper. Let's say there's a trapper right here. And let's say there's horde here to here. Or no, we'll say the trapper is here. If there's horde here to here, yes, you can manage the horde. Yes, you can fight. Yes, you can just dodge the net, lol. However, I recognize that if one of these guys takes a step forward, literally just one poxwalker takes one step forward, your ability to dodge is gone. You will dodge, it'll happen, but you're going to get body blocked. And because the net is a projectile weapon and not a physical attack like the mutant and the dog, you cannot last second iframe it by dodging out of the way. You can, but remember, this game runs off of servers, so projectiles are always a bit behind. If you're at like 60, 70 ms ping, I would call that a high-risk maneuver and recommend you never even attempt it. Worth noting, trappers are pretty weak to stagger, and they're pretty weak to range damage. Because if you see, all it takes is one stagger to stop this. And this is another thing I want to talk about. Staggers stop them from shooting their nets. So hey, this one's genuinely, this one is for all you smite psychers out there. If you want to do something useful with your miserable fucking life for once, just do this. Any form of CC will stop trappers. Anything. Even the lightest little stagger from the furthest point away will stagger them. They have that little stagger resistance. and that stops them from shooting the trapper net. Now, I also want to talk about their sounds for a second. Trappers have literally been bugged since day one of the beta. I don't know what it is with Fat Shark and Trappers. No, I do know what it is, but I'm going to reserve that for the very end of the video. God, I fucking hate this enemy. So, Trappers have a few sound cues. They have this. Oh, what? You don't hear that? Oh, no, that's not a bug. It's playing. Listen. You hear that, like, Sam Fisher payday noise? Yeah, that's the movement trapper cue. You remember how hook rats were clank, 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 clank with the skulls and it was impossible to miss? Yeah, it's not that trappers are bugged per se, it's that they're badly fucking designed. They have 3 major sound cues. Their spool up, their reload, their laugh, and then they have a 4th sound cue that's supposed to be their general one, and that's this fucking anonymous code hacker shit. The problem is, this noise is so fucking faint that you can hardly ever hear it. If they made it loud enough that you heard it constantly, which trappers should make a constant noise. I really, okay, fine. Let's just rip this Band-Aid off. I think the trapper, if you have no, hold on. Fine. I'll show one last thing, because I do actually have one last thing to show you. Then I can get into the actual fucking... So after this shoots, they always run away. Sometimes they run into you, but they're supposed to just run away. Now, that heavy breathing and little shuffling, see, that's the code sound I'm talking about. That's the reload. Those are your sound cues. It's not necessarily that they're bugged, although sometimes their sound doesn't play, but that's more of a Poxwalker problem right now. It's not that the sounds are bugged. And this is where I get into the mini rant portion of this video. It's not that the fucking sounds are bugged, it's that this enemy is literally stupid and shouldn't be in the game, period. And no, this is not just a salty bitch crying skill issue. I've literally done true solos and duos before. You don't even win most of your maelstorms. Please don't even try to hit me with that skill issue shit. This enemy literally just shouldn't be in the fucking game. This enemy is our replacement for trap rats, hook rats from Vermintide. Now, the big problem with trappers is that in a maelstorm, their sound effects are so light and low key that you don't hear them. Occasionally you'll get a good chance to hear the weapon spool up, but a big part of being good at Tide games is prediction. So knowing that something just spawned and being able to chart out my movement for how I want to deal with that enemy that is how you deal with disablers. You plan out your route. Oh, I heard a dog spawn. Now I know I need to get out of the horde. I need to look in its general spawn direction. I need to be ready for it. Same thing with trappers, same thing with mutants. You do not ever in Tide games just react to a situation that happens. That's how you get hit by this stuff. No, you recognize, I know what I fundamentally need to do to beat this enemy. I need to put myself in a situation where I can always act on those fundamentals, and True Solos is just doing that with 4 times the things attacking you for an hour straight. Now, this enemy type, I really have a fucking huge beef with it. And it's because of this sound effect. Why did they go with this sound effect? If they tripled the volume on it so you could always hear it, then it would literally, if a trapper spawns, this is all you'd hear. Just constantly, it would drown out everything else. They made a constant, low, droning buzz the primary sound notification of a trapper. Why? Why would you fucking do that? Every other sound effect in the game works relatively well because it is a unique instant sound that gives a, think about it. Mutant Scream is the other worst design sound in the game, but even then, if there's only one of them, the sound plays, you can't ignore it, and that's that. You don't need another one. And then there's the stomping to give you an idea of where it is, for audio visuals. Now, Poxwalkers, the beeping, there's time in between the beeps to hear other things. Reapers have the same thing. They make that sound. Every single enemy in the game is very well designed in this department. Except for the Trapper. It literally feels like the Trapper was made by someone. It feels like this was someone's first attempt at making a special enemy. Because I really can't fucking get over how horrible this enemy is. Honest to God, this is the worst enemy they've ever designed. A range disabler like this is also kind of problematic from the first place for the simple fact that you can do everything right. You can put yourself in the perfect situation. One Poxwalker takes one step forward, you dodge into it, and because it's a projectile attack, you know, your, like, toe is getting clipped by it because of, like, the 0.1 ms of lag that comes from being on a server, and you get hit. It's just, there's so many little quirks with this enemy that really makes you hate them. Fuck this enemy.